Hi, what's going on, y'all? It's your boy Mara,
It's your boy Levi.
I am Star
and it's the Need to Know. All right, y'all, we in the building. We got the high school gang in the building.
Okay.
Shout out to Law.
Shout out to
Word.
shout out to Law.
Shout out to
Yeah.
gang.
Yeah.
Today we're talking about therapy. So I'm gonna let my guests introduce themselves.
I am Star on Instagram, Miss Chambliss. Shamar is my son's godfather, and I'm high school friends with Levi, and I'm so happy to be here.
Yep. I'm Levi Walks. These are my high school day ones, Stardasia and Shamar. Yeah, degree in architecture, designer, Uber driver, all of the above.
We touched on this topic previously with mental health, but just to like dig a little deeper into therapy. So I'm gonna start the questions off with, do you guys believe in therapy?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And also, have you had an experience with therapy, whether through a counselor or just doing therapy for yourself?
Self. No
For you.
counselor yet.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I had a counselor.
So I guess I want to like start the conversation off with kind of the notion. I said this before in a previous episode, but we kind of come from a time where our parents or previous generations kind of didn't believe in like talking to other people about their problems or what they're going through mentally. But I feel like in our generation now it's kind of more opening up, mainly because we're tired of like, you know, repeating the cycle of like keeping it to ourselves and kind of just going through the motions, but instead opening up. So how do you guys feel about how therapy is becoming more mainstream now than it was before?
I think it's super important and very productive because a lot of us, especially in the Black community, there's so much trauma and so much pent up resentment that it holds us back individually, of course, as personal people, and definitely like as a group.
Yeah.
So, you know, we have those parents that are just stubborn. They don't really talk about their feelings or their past.
Mm-hmm.
And I was speaking about this earlier, but like when my dad giving me like little stories about his childhood, I'm like, that's trauma, bro. Like this, I could see why you so whatever, because you went through this and that. So
Yeah.
talking about it is very important.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I'm so happy that therapy is becoming regular and a normal thing, and so many of us, like young people, are becoming therapists themselves. And I think that's so important because we need people to relate to. Yeah, I could relate to your story because even my grandfather, when I started therapy, he was like, well, why can't you just come and talk to me? I'm like, you know too much about me, and like I see you all the time, so imagine telling you and like mind dumping on you and then seeing you every single day. Like that's gonna be weird. And I feel like a lot of people do that with their spouses.
Yeah.
And then I'm not saying that it's not okay and that's not something that you should do, like treat your spouse as your therapist, but like they have their problems too. So you need like a professional person to like you can go to that can relate to you and then give you advice, and not just is like listening or like talking back to you or trying to relate to you. Like you need a person that can like help you build and like be stable mentally, honestly.
I feel like this is just how I personally feel, for men especially, all the responsibilities and like kind of social norms that we have to abide by. It's a lot of pressure, and it makes you feel like sometimes not worthy or less than because you're not at a certain point, you're not doing certain things. But to talk about that with your wife is kind of like, it's cool to talk about that, but after a certain point it's kind of weird.
Right, like you wouldn't want to tell her your insecurities, you know what I mean? Because like even if that's your wife and you like tell her stuff, you open to her, like some stuff you don't want her to like know or worry about, because once you tell her, it's like she gonna think about that, worry about that.
Exactly. Now that
all the time,
relationship,
right? And now she's gonna keep bringing it up, like, "Are you okay? Are you sure this?" Like, I'm the type of person that will do that. Like, I will bring it up every single time. Like, remember what you said? Are you still good? Because we can talk about it. And it's like I don't need that right now. I need
regular,
space and be regular. Like, calm down.
Okay, so to kind of dig deeper into that, I was reading up on how certain people felt like they didn't need therapy because they have people they could come to talk to in terms of advice. So I know Star touched upon it, but what do you guys feel is the key difference between asking friends for advice versus asking a stranger for not advice, but necessarily like how do I get through what I'm going through.
And when you say stranger, you mean like a
counselor or a professional.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just the anonymity, just because you don't know this person and their job, and the reason they're there is only to help you like deal with your stuff. So you're not, if you're talking to like a family member or your wife or a friend, you don't know if they want to know these things, if they're equipped to even help you with these things. And now you're telling them, and now every time you see them, they probably think about it like, oh, you went through this, so let me change the way I act towards you. And then that just becomes annoying.
I just think it becomes really a conflict when you're going to therapy for the people that's around you. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, you yourself need to change, but the relationships you have, you're going to therapy for that, how to make those things stronger. Or like, if you're going through problems in those relationships, you're going to therapy to like figure out how to work it out. And like, those people can't help you because they're in it.
Right, yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, how I'm gonna come to you about something that's about you? It's like, I can't do that. I need to go to somebody who's like, who doesn't even know none of us, and I'm giving her all the details, all the information from both sides, and she's asking me questions, and I'm being completely honest, and then she's telling me, like, girl, you tripping. Yeah. And then I can go back and be like, you know what, I apologize. But if it was the other way around, I would have gone to them wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That makes sense.
It would have caused a problem to be even worse than what it was.
Yeah. That's like talking, like, having an issue with your cousin you need to talk about, and then try to talk to her mom about it. It's like, but that's her daughter. Like, it's too connected.
Right. And then, you know how people are. They start telling your business, or they start, like, talking to other people about it. You need somebody that's, like, I feel like you can look at it as, like, a treasure box. Like, this one box, I'm going to put all these feelings in, all these thoughts in, all these issues, close it, lock it up. And then when I come back, it's like ways for me to like deal with that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
But if you're talking to other people, it's like, how can it be insecurity?
Yeah, that too. And I think a lot of times too, when it comes to people you're close to, even family, like, it's kind of like when you was a kid, you was playing that game Telephone, where it's like, I say one thing, but then it ends up being something completely different. Like what I said, it's like, I wasn't coming at you crazy. I'm just saying like, yo, watch how you talk to me. But it's like, I'm not saying that in terms of like conflict, like I'm trying to fight you. It's just more like, yo, out of respect for myself and my boundaries, like, yo, I would like if you said this in a different way. But some people take it as, oh, well, what you trying to say? And then it becomes a whole like kind of barrier within the family, because now you have certain people like, oh, like they're kind of with you because they understood where you came from. But then it's other people that kind of like see it differently. You're like, nah, why she said it like that? And then it just becomes like mad difficult, especially at like barbecues or something, because then like you got to see them. It's like,
exactly, like, I got to see them every time now.
Yeah,
like,
but
no.
it's like, but to me, I feel like a big thing with counselors is like, it's the confidentiality. Like, I know what I say is not going to leave this room. So yeah, I could say whatever I want. I could express myself. I could curse. I could be angry, whatever. But I know at the end of the day, this person doesn't know me, so it's not going nowhere. On top of that, it's their job to not say anything. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I mean, I agree with therapy, but I guess my next question is, because I know therapy is not only with counselors. Some people, like Levi said, he copes with problems, you know, outside of therapy. So what are the benefits of coping with mental health issues or certain problems you're going through without a counselor?
I think to even self-therapy yourself, if that's like the right term, you have to have self-awareness. And if you don't have that, you can't address or handle any of the issues that you do have. So if you're just like, you know, it's their fault, you know, he shouldn't have said that to me, and you're just saying them, and not looking inward, it's like you're not gonna get anywhere or get better. So I feel like that, and you know, self-awareness applies to so many other things in your life, like other relationships, you know, jobs, networking, whatever, that it's a good skill to have anyway. And then it also helps you, you know, change things about yourself that are not necessarily productive.
Right.
Yeah.
I guess my next question would be like, what is one big thing that you can say that you do in terms of like self-therapy? Because I know for some people it's like, for me, when I was younger, it used to be running, like, because I joined track like late in high school, but I ended up like falling in love with it to the point where like, if I was ever going through something, it's like, yo, I just go out on the block and just run.
Yeah. So
what is like your biggest I guess coping mechanism for when you're going through something?
I would have to say prayer. Like if I just take the time to just pray, like I guess everything that I'm thinking about, all the stuff I'm worried about, it kind of just like dissipates. It calms down. Prayer is a form of meditation. So I guess meditating would be for, somebody that's not religious would say meditation, but like just taking that time to just be quiet, be in silence, be by yourself. It really allows you to think about things clearly.
Right.
Because if you're just worrying about bills and your kids and, what is so-and-so doing this and that, you're never really focused enough to like get better. Right. So just taking that time to just be by yourself is very important, I think.
Writing it down. Like whenever I'm feeling a certain way, I would just write it down, or I will organize like any kind of thought I have, or I would like make a voice memo. Cause sometimes my voice memos I can like play it back, and like it'll be motivating me, and I would like start crying. Like, girl, I needed that. Like, and I knew that I was gonna need that a following day. So I made like a voice note just to hear my voice, just to like speak that encouragement into me. Or like writing it down, I can just write it down, throw it away, and be done with it. You know what I mean? And like I got it out, because it's really like therapy to like write letters to yourself, to whoever you're mad at, to somebody you need to forgive, to somebody who needs your forgiveness. You know what I mean? Like,
and that's funny that you bring that up, because I remember a while ago, one of my exes, she was like, I want you to write me a letter. Mind you, we got phones, FaceTime and shit. I'm just like, nah. You want a letter, bro? This is not the 1700s. Because I need to see your hand.
Right. You know what I mean? Like, I need to see you, that you bent down, putting that effort to, like, write.
It's the effort part,
Yeah, like, I don't know. And then seeing on paper is different. Yeah. It's so transforming, like, I don't know.
So in hindsight, I would just say now, looking back, I'm like, I can see it now. Because to sit down and write it down and take your time is more effort. You thought more about what you were writing and how you did it versus you just like click, send.
Yeah.
Well, that's true, because when you texting, you kind of like, you're texting based on reaction. Like, whatever I'm reading, okay, bet. Like, oh, you want to say that? All right. Like, and then you kind of go off. But instead of with a letter, it's like, you have to sit down and actually think, like, what I'm about to say. And a lot of times with text messages, it's like, we're so quick to react. But with a letter, it's like, we live in a time where like letters are not really common anymore. So for me to like, you asking me to write you down something, it's like, okay, like I have to think like, what am I going to say? Then you have to like, it's not like the keys are there for you. Like you have to think, okay, how do I spell this? Like, I'm not saying you thinking about every word, but like,
honestly,
it's like if I'm saying this, it's like, oh, THI, like it makes you think about those letters. So
I agree. Tomorrow be beating my ass sometimes. I'll be like, is it 2 M's, 2 R's?
Yeah, I'll be doing that.
I'll be looking it up. I'll be feeling so embarrassed.
Like, damn, I graduated high school, college. Like, I don't know how to spell tomorrow. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Nah, I'm a whole teacher and can't spell. So honestly,
that's crazy. Okay, so I guess my next question would be, or the next thing I want to touch on is therapy within. I know we talked about relationships, but therapy within parents. I know some people or some children have that space where whatever they're going through, they can speak to their parents and kind of get answers. So how do you guys feel about therapy or coping with your parents?
I feel like it helps because, your parents are very insightful. They got wisdom, of course, experience.
Yeah.
And so talking to them about certain things could really help. But I feel like sometimes it's the opposite of that, where whatever they say in response is completely like detrimental to your situation. So, and I want to bring this up earlier too, but like when it comes to talking to a non-professional about your problems for therapy, like I know in the Black community or in general too, but I like people I've spoken to that were Black, like molestation is like a big thing, especially between family members. Yikes. And especially women. Talking about that with your parents could be a complete nuke for your whole family. Yeah. And then they confront this person, but maybe the person changed, maybe not, and then now you got to watch them, look at them different. And you might not want that. Even though you're the victim, you don't want to see your family fall apart, off of this one thing. So it depends, yo. Context.
But you say that one thing like it's nothing. That one thing is you. That one thing is your mental health. That one thing is what you valued. You know what I mean? What you still value. Like it's important. Like because you matter.
Yeah, you do. I agree.
Like you know what I mean?
Yeah. So, well,
it's getting deep.
Listen. If we're gonna be out there, let's be 100%. Yeah. So I'm gonna just throw this out there. All right. So I dealt with that as a kid. Female family member that happened to me. And so that affected me in my childhood and how I interacted with women in general. And I could, as an adult, I can see how much that messed me up.
Yeah.
But me right now, I'm like, I could bring it to light. I could make this an issue, but is it worth it? Just chill, Star.
She like, yeah.
Like,
But I get what you're saying though, because it's like on the one hand, like it matters to you because it's like this affected me from that point on. But at the same time, it's like, okay, if I say something, what's gonna happen to the family? Like, it's like the end. You're thinking about the end concept versus like how you feel.
Yeah.
So even though that, like, personally speaking, like it is a bad thing because like you got to think about yourself first. Like I don't know why, but like I guess as I got older, I started to realize like family does matter, but it's like you got to think about you too. Like you got to put yourself first because at the end of the day, like just because they family don't mean that they for you, if that makes sense. Like not all family members support you. Like there's some people that's envious, like behind closed doors. There's some people that talk shit. But it's like at the end of the day, like I get where you're coming from. Like your family is still important, and you still want to keep that like nucleus. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword. Like no matter what you do, something bad is gonna happen.
I feel like there's no right or wrong answer. It's, just, it's a big gray area, and you just gotta make the decision. Go ahead, Star.
Okay, because you see me, I'm over here
ready.
She's riled up.
Okay, first of all, I just appreciate you for telling your story, and like I don't take that lightly. I thank you for that because I can definitely relate, and I will say that I'm that person that told. And my family hated me for that. All right, so like it happened on my mom's side, and I told my dad's side because that's where I was living at the time. And like just being around them, I just could not hold it in anymore, right? And like I told them at the dinner table, we was like this, and I was like,
at the dinner table,
I have an announcement to make.
Announcement.
Oh, yes.
My aunt like thought I was like playing around, so she was like, "Drum roll, please," and then I said it, and she was like,
"Whoa!" Like, it shook everything.
Okay. And then when it got word to like my mom and like my mom's side, they was like, "Oh, why would you do that?" Like my cousins, I was like, my age was like, "Oh, why would you tell?" Like, and I'm just like, "Girl, call and ask me, am I okay? Call and ask me, am I good? Call and ask me, you know what I mean?" Like even my parents had such a weird reaction to me telling my story, and like I didn't even feel comfortable going to them. I felt comfortable going to my grandparents and like, you know, my the people that was at my dinner table at like Sunday dinner, like and I just say to anybody who's like holding that back from their family, I would say tell them, because they need to know that something happened to you. That person needs to be held accountable first of all, and you need to be seen as somebody who matters, like I said, because your story matters, and you keeping that inside is making it seem like it's okay, and it's not.
I feel that.
I don't know, I'm kind of on the fence because like I do believe you should tell your story, like if it's hurting you inside, like tell it, because like there's nothing worse than you exploding yourself, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I'm still kind of thinking on like Levi's term. It's like, of course the family dynamics gonna change no matter what. Like whether you holding it in or you tell them, like. But for me, I just feel like, okay, what is the best way for me to let this out without something else getting damaged, if that makes sense? Like, of course, the person within the family that did something to you, like, of course, like you did it, like you got to pay for the consequences. But I feel like, I don't know, I guess I'm like on a spiritual kind of thing where it's just like I'm gonna let God handle it, which is like, you know what I mean? Like I don't let God handle it, but like I should still handle it myself. Like, but I don't know. For me, it's just like,
not to cut you off, but when you tell your story, then God will do the rest. Like, think about that.
I see what you mean.
He's waiting for you to move. You know what I mean? He's waiting for you to like speak up and say that this was wrong and that this happened to me, and like, you know what I mean? Like that person needs to feel sorry. Like your family needs to like hear that. You know what I mean? Like, the world needs to hear that. Like, wow, like somebody out there went through what I went through and they're surviving. Like, look at them.
That's true too.
You know what I mean?
Like a lot of times when you speak up about something, like it encourages somebody else who's going through either the same thing or something similar to like say something, and then it like kind of spirals into like a good thing, like it's healing.
And because of that, God will bless you, because now you just bless somebody else.
Right.
Like, think about that. Like, it will work out.
Yeah.
So do you feel like So I agree, and I believe that is a outcome.
Okay.
But do you feel like, you know, if we're still speaking spiritually, God could, you know, talk to you however he speaks to you and be like, you know, I've led you through this. I've given you the hindsight. I've given you the freedom to understand what happened to you, to realize how it affected you, and to now fix it, or it's already fixed. And you're at peace. So now he's like, he
Just
gives
let
you
it
the
go.
question, is it worth, like, do you still feel like you need to tell? And I feel like for people that don't feel like it, I feel like that could be a right answer as well.
Yeah, I feel like that's the right answer, and I feel like that's really big of them. And I feel like that says a lot about them and their character and where they are in their healing process. And like I respect that and like value that, because like a lot of people want to be there. Like me, like I want to be in that place where like I'm at peace, like I'm good, like I don't gotta, you know what I'm saying, shout about, like I'm cool. So I respect that, and I think that's so valuable.
This is therapy, by the way, as well.
This is therapy, right?
Everybody knows
Like
therapy.
I wanted to kind of say that from the beginning. Like therapy is not just what you see on TV, like going to a counselor and speaking to somebody. Like therapy is however you see yourself dealing with your mental health issues. So for Star, it was counseling. For Levi, it's, you know, self-awareness. Like therapy is therapy. Like it's not just like what the definition of TV is. Like it really is just like coping with yourself. So yeah, like to go back on parents, was there ever a time where you had a situation where you told your parents and it affected you negatively? So I know we said it before, but like was there ever like a experience where it was like, okay, let me tell my mom this, and then when you told her, she like looked at you different, or she judged you, or said no, you're wrong, but instead of like giving you advice, she kind of like judged you, or father?
As black kids, we know that, you know, the idea of college was pushed on us our whole lives, right?
Right.
Like you got to go to college, you got to get education, this and that, blah, blah, blah. And I don't think that's wrong. But as a kid, when I would get asked, what do you want to do? I remember one time I just said architecture. Like it just came to my mind. And everybody's like, oh my goodness, wow, that's so great. And so I just kept saying it. I'm like, oh, I'm getting a great reaction off this. Architecture. Yeah, I'm going to be an architect. I'm going to build this and that, da-da-da. And then going into college, I had no idea about it. Like, I didn't do no research. I didn't know what I was in for, this and that. And, you know, right now, I have a love for architecture, and I'm thankful that it's in line with my passion, which is design in general. I like to make things look nice. And so that was a blessing that I was able to go into that. But when I told my mom, like, architecture was never that wasn't my dream or nothing. Like, it's just something I said. She's like, what? No, you always said that. You lying. I'm like, Mom, I'm telling you, like, this wasn't something I woke up and was like, I'm destined to be an architect. It's just a good reaction, right?
Yeah.
And she completely denied it. So I'm like, all right, you know, it is what it is. I just want to let you know. And, you know, thankful for my mom and how she is. She came to my room later on and was like, you know what? I thought about it, and, you know, I'm going to listen to you now. Like, I'm not going to tell you you're wrong about yourself. So that's how that went.
Back to what I was saying before about like how my parents reacted to me like telling my story.
Yeah.
They said, I won't repeat what they said, but they said like really individually like foul things to me afterwards. And I'm just like, like what? Aren't y'all supposed to be the main ones to come to me and console me and to be there for me? Like, now I know why I really didn't feel comfortable coming to you. And like, even now I still have that same issue even when it comes to my grandparents, about just being honest with them about who I am. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
About who I am, like what I do. And I think that's like really traumatic, because like now I'm like so afraid to even go to, like, if I can't even go to my parents, like who I'm finna go to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah, I would say the same thing. I had a similar story to Levi's, where I remember as a kid, like in middle school, they gave me this book. Like it was like a book of all different careers and career paths and stuff. And so I remember one day, like in my family, it was very big because I come from a Haitian household where like there's only certain careers that matter to them, like which is doctors, lawyers. I forgot what else, but it's pretty much like the big fields, like to make big money, because in my family, it's like if you make small money or you make medium money, it's not enough. Like you should be striving for the best. As I'm looking through the book, like I see all these careers and I'm like, in my head, I'm like, okay, money. So every time I see like, oh, career starting salaries, 30,000, 40, I'm like, nope. But I wasn't thinking in terms of like what I'm actually passionate about. It was more like what's gonna make me the most money. And so immediately like A came like the first, because it was in chronological order. So I saw attorney, and I'm like, okay, cool. And it said starting salary 100,000. I said, what? Yo, attorney. So my mom ran with it. She told the whole family. She told everybody, oh, my son's gonna be an attorney. But as I got older, like, and which is kind of why I went to law enforcement, because my mom saw law enforcement lawyer. So okay, let me throw him in there. But like I never told my mom this, but it was like in high school I really wanted to go to like Bayside, Forest Hills, which is like the Queen School. I was like placed in law, which, you know, I ended up making like great friends. But then I went to college and I'm like, okay, I want to go to Outstate College. But like my mom was like, no, you want to be a lawyer, so you're gonna go to John Jay, which is like the law police school. So I'm like, okay. But that whole time, like I never knew what I wanted to do. So I was in high school and college, like kind of just going through the motions, because I'm like, okay, I guess lawyer. Through college is when I found like, you know, film production and like editing and all that. So that's what I really loved. But in my head, it was always that concept of, okay, I'm gonna get judged because I stopped doing the lawyer thing. So let me just keep going to college and like get my degree. But over time, I kept feeling like this, like, I guess weighted boundary of like, yo, this is not what you're supposed to do. Like, do this. So I'm like, okay, like that's when I kept doing the film thing. And then over time, like I realized, okay, law is always going to be interesting to me, but like filming is always my passion. Eventually I told my mom, and like she kind of, her reaction was not what I was expecting. Well, I kind of expected it, but I kind of wanted it to be different, because it was like, I wanted you to support what I was doing, even though it's not the norm of the family. But she kind of took it as like, oh, but you've always said you wanted to be a lawyer, why change now? Right. When in reality it was like, I never said I wanted to do it because it was a passion of mine. I said I wanted to do it because you guys indirectly forced me to say that, like, because if it wasn't the money aspect, I promise you I would never pick attorney. Like, yeah. I don't know, like for me, law is always interesting. Like I went through college, like going through law classes, I've done like internships and stuff, and it was always like interesting to me. Like I never stopped loving it. It was just more so like, this is not what I want to do like as a long-term career kind of thing. Like my love for it is not there. It's just something I'm like, oh, this is cool. Like I like being a lawyer, like wearing a suit, going to court, like representing somebody. But like my real passion is in film. So when I told my mom that, she was just like, oh, well, that's not making you money. Like there's a lot of like big directors that's making like billions of dollars and you wouldn't know about it, because, and it's not her fault, because she came like from her grandparents and stuff where like lawyer, doctor is the only way to go. So but yeah, I mean, to piggyback off like the whole therapy with parents, I do respect the kids that have like their mom or dad who they feel they can talk about anything, and it's like a judge-free zone. But to me, it's kind of like a double-edged sword too, because I feel a lot of times parents have like that weird mindset about you. Like if you say something, they feel like, oh, well, like for example, like I know some kids who like, they went through college and they were just like, yeah, you know, for most people, college was like, oh, you know, it's like kind of like the sex drive where like you just having sex all the time. So I remember one person, I don't want to put him on spot, so I'm not going to mention his name, but he told his mom like he felt like in college he didn't learn anything because it was like sex was everywhere. So in her mind, she felt like she didn't like necessarily believe him. She was just more like, oh, well, you should have focused in school. And now she kind of looks at him as like a thought. So it's like, but it's like, yeah, like for me, I understood his story because I'm just like, college, I don't understand. I'm not saying I did that. Like I wasn't doing that, but it's very easy in college to get drawn into that situation. So that's why, like, I understood where he was coming from, but to his parents, like, they viewed it differently, because for them, college was go to school, be in your books, get a degree. But for him, it's like you don't know the inside depths of college. So.
Right, like you don't get that lifestyle.
Right. Yeah. So, and that's a lot of you know, the issues with parents is that for all that they do know, there's a lot that they don't.
That they don't know.
And they impose that on you, like, nah, right. Since I don't know that means it's not true, so you're not gonna do it. And this is like
what kind of world you live in, girl?
Right. Exactly. You know You know how many times my mom told me video games was a waste of time, and there's a 16-year-old making $3 million playing the tournament.
Listen, he had to fix
It's
his
possible,
posture.
yo.
He said,
Like,
wait a second.
that's why I'm like, when it comes to careers, bro, like, it really don't matter what you want to do, because whatever you want to do, there's big money in there.
Yeah,
like,
there's a lane for you, basically.
right.
Yeah.
You just have to apply yourself and push it to that point. And even if you choose a career where nobody made that kind of money, like, why not be the first person to do that?
Yeah.
But parents don't see it like that. They just like, yo, if you want to be like I remember my mom at one point, she was just like, oh, men who are nurses are gay or something. And I'm like,
What?
I'm like, wait.
Stop.
And I'm like, what? My fault. I totally forgot. My bad. But like, to me, it was just like, I didn't say my mom did, but I'm saying like, it was just, it's such a weird norm for parents, because it's like, and I understand where they're coming from, because like they didn't have the resources we have to know or learn or understand. But in the same sense, it's like, yo, have an open mind, like to know what we're talking about.
Yeah, and I get that, but at the same time too, they want the best for you. So they're like, yo, get the most secure thing ever. Make sure you got your money, so you don't gotta worry about whatever in the future.
Right.
But it's still not right to force us to do certain things.
Right. Even if it come down to like your hair. Like I remember one time I wanted to cut my hair in college, and my grandparents was like, "You not finna cut your hair." I'm like, "What?"
Yeah.
I FaceTimed them and I was like, "Boy, like, listen, I'm cutting my hair. What you gonna do? Like,
Yeah.
I'm in school. You're wilding. Like, no, you should have to let your kids be them and like, don't do that. Like, I'm finna cut my hair. Just small stuff like that. I don't know.
That's a fact.
So I'm just hoping. Well, I know you're a parent now, Star. So do you feel like these things will happen unintentionally?
That's a good question.
'Cause I don't want to be like that, but I don't know. Maybe I'll change.
Okay, I'm trying to be a conscious parent, right? I'm trying to parent gently. It's not easy. And I'm not gonna sit here and lie to you and say that I do it every day or like I'm working towards it, right? So, I think it's important to like just have small thoughts. Like people ask me, "Am I gonna lock Noah's hair?" I'm like, if he wants to lock his hair will get locked.
Right.
Like. If he wants to pierce his ears, his ears to get pierced. Like, I'm not about to be one of those parents that, like, you have to do this or you have to do that, because every person is different. And you have to let that person be themselves. You can't, like, force your identity onto them. You can't force your wants. Like, for example, I love the color green for Noah. But if he grew up hating green, that's going to be on me.
Yeah.
Because you, like, forced me to like green, and now I'm resenting you. You know what I mean?
Right.
Now I don't like it no more, but I could have liked it if you let me be me.
Right.
You know, like, I feel like a parent's like really set themselves up a lot of times. And it's hard because it's like, I made this person and I raised this person, and like, this person couldn't hold their head up at a point. Like, you know what I mean? Like, who you what the?
It's kind of like that concept, like, what is it? Not to sound like that, but it's like, yo, I made you. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
it's like,
So you're not
how
about
you
to
going,
go a different way.
Yeah.
Than I'm
what
telling you to go.
Yeah.
But
right.
it's like, you have to just like let them do it, and like give them back to God, to be honest.
Yeah.
And like let him, he gonna handle it. You just gotta let them be them. Give them all the love possible, because when you do that, when you feed love into a child,
Yeah, that's the best
That's
outcome.
it.
Yeah.
Right.
that's it. You gotta love them for them.
And don't get me wrong,
To
the
be
parent
honest.
could be right. Green could look fire on Noah, and he'd just be like, "Nope."
I'm tired of wearing this. I'm
Yeah.
tired of wearing this.
Yeah.
I like that. That was a good one. I guess my last touch on therapy. How has therapy benefited you since you started? So, because I know everybody has a starting point with therapy. Like for me, I think it was 2016. But like, what was your start in therapy, and like, how has it benefited you since you started?
So I started in therapy when I can't remember what year it was. It had to be 2019. After I graduated college, I was working at a daycare. I was having Noah. Like, I already had him, and he was like a year or something. He was, no, I'm lying. I said 2019. I can't remember what year. But it was, I think after I had Noah, I was working at a daycare, and I was just like, I need somewhere to go. Like, I need a safe place to go, even if it's on Zoom, even if it's a conversation. I just need somewhere to go where I feel like I can, like, say whatever and then come out of it with, like, something better. Like come out of it not the same person, come out of it healthy, come out of it better, come out of it talking better to other people and like listening better and just being a better mom, a better daughter, a better sister, a better cousin, a better everything. So and when I told my therapist my age, she was like, wow, if I would have started therapy like at your age, I would have been on a a better path. I'm like, well, just seeing your parents do one thing is like, I'm not even gonna try to go that way. I'm gonna try to do the whole opposite and make sure that I'm good. I really started therapy for Noah because I never want him to. I never want to be the reason for him to go to therapy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I see that happening. Like I seen me being hard on him. I seen me talking crazy to him. I seen me lose my patience with him. And I was just like, one point I just like stopped and like, no, you gonna make him hate you.
Yeah.
So don't do that. Like go somewhere where you can heal. Go somewhere where you can be a better mother because you can't take care of him if you're not good yourself. So
that's that self-awareness, yo.
Yeah, now I'm like trying to go back into therapy, but trying to have it be paid by my job because I'm not coming out of pocket for that.
Yeah, therapy's a little expensive.
Not coming out of pocket for that. It got too expensive. That's why I stopped. I was like, okay, this is great, but I can't afford it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely. Having that self-awareness as a parent really benefits your kids because you were talking about the things that you noticed that you were doing, but there's some things that your parent subconsciously does just off of like reaction that they don't know is affecting you so badly. Yeah, to address that and then handle it, in the nose and good hands.
Yeah, this was like a very intimate, deep conversation. I like this. All right, I guess to close out, if you guys got anything going on, if you want to shout something out, shout a person out, now's the time. And social medias. Instagram
is Miss Chambliss, and I'll be returning back to school next August 1st as Miss Chambliss for my second year of teaching. I'm so excited for that. Yeah, and my son just turned 2, so it was like double the entry level of stuff.
Yep.
Shout out to Noah.
That's dope. Yeah. On Instagram _Law Designs for my design profile _ The Finest Your Highness for my personal profile. Again, shout out to my girlfriend and her YouTube channel. Just hit 35K views on one of her videos. Super proud. Nice. And yeah, check her out. Achaya W. ACHAIA space W. That's how you spell it.
All right. Until next episode, y'all can follow me. Instagram, Twitter, y'all know where I'm at. _we on more. Follow Serena, Rita host, and Let's Talk on L Mag. I got that right? I'm nice. All right. And make sure you get her second book, Unknown, on Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, Audible. Is it on Audible? Not yet. Ebook. Get the ebook. If you don't want to get a hard copy, you can read it on your tablet, on your iPad. And yeah, make sure to follow the show's page at TNTK Show on Instagram and Twitter. And as always, thank you guys for watching the show.
And that's all you need to know.
Bye, y'all. It is cold. Wow. It is freezing.